Okay, in this video we're going to take a look at setting up the hand and creating the rig for that. So we need to go back to the original bind skeleton. Let's show that. Turn the visibility on. There we go. So what we're going to do is duplicate this hand. So there we go, we got the duplicate. This has the hand one. I'm going to Shift P to unparent it, then go back to the pelvis and turn the visibility off. So this is going to be the FK hand. We're not going to do an IK hand, we're just going to have one hand. We can just actually call this anim. That would be a little bit easier. So it's going to be both for the IK and FK arm, but we're only doing an FK setup. So I'm going to click Shift and expand all of this, and here I'm going to copy that, and then make sure and I go all the way through and paste the name anim to all of these joints. Joint and anim, that's fine. So that we have all of this named correctly and that there's no naming conflicts within the whole rig. And I don't know, maybe halfway, maybe a little bit more. Just pasting away. With things like this that are repetitive, it might be nice to build a script for. So if you're familiar with scripting, take advantage because we'll have to do this quite a bit for all of the rig anytime we're creating a new skeleton. Okay, there we go. So we have that done, and then now what I want to do is create a control for the fingers, and we'll do the finger controls and then we'll add another control for the hand later on. So let's go in and go to create NURBS primitive circle. So we have that, and then let's start off with the index finger. So I'm going to select this, this, and then use the align tool so that we can align the control there to the hand. So I'm going to push F8 and then take all of these controls here, maybe pinch this, that way we know the direction of the placement of the the knuckle. We know which way it is pointed up, and that seems to be okay. Object mode, there we go. Then I am going to duplicate it, paste it here, and then use the align tool. And again, with this align tool, it is part of the shelf that I created. It's on my Patreon. Patreon link is down below, along with a lot of other cool stuff that I've developed over time. So also, if you're one of my students, it is in my courses if you need to access it. So there we go. We have the three controls there for the hand, and I am going to push F8, and what I want to do is each time I go down the chain, just scale it down a little bit. Then do F8 here. And bring it down even smaller, so that way we know the hierarchy of how it's going. You can push F8 to get out of that mode. There we go. I'm going to select all three of these and make them blue because they're on the left side. Okay, so I have the controls here for the hand, or for the index finger, so we should probably rename these. So this is going to be L underscore index 01 underscore CTRL. And then this is going to be 02 and 3. And then I think my controls I did with lowercase. Let's double check so we can keep the consistent naming. Yeah. Sometimes I do it in capital, sometimes I do it in lowercase, but whatever file I'm working on, I try to keep it the same. There we go. So I'm going to take these, duplicate them, Control D for duplication. And then this is going to be the middle finger. Middle 01, middle 02, middle 03, and I need to make sure to take out the ones at the end. Okay, and then I am going to select this and go ahead and select the joint it's going to go to and click align. That will align it. Then 02, select this one and align it. 03, click this one and align it. So I'm going to repeat this process a few more times. I'm going to do that for the ring finger here, the pinky finger, and then the thumb. So we'll go through and align all of those controls, and I'll be right back in a moment, so that way we're just not doing a super repetitive task over and over again for you guys on video. You guys should see kind of how I did the first two fingers and then be able to do the other fingers. All right, see you in a moment. Okay, so I got all of the controls built out. There is a little bit of weirdness here in the thumb because it's pointing up just like all the other controllers are. So what I'm going to do is push F8, take these controls and rotate them, and maybe scale it up. There we go. So we have something like that going on. F8 to get out of it, select this, F8, and rotate it again so that it lines up with the way the knuckles are aligned. F8, select that, and then F8 again. There we go. And then with both of these, we can maybe scale it up a bit and kind of realign it. There we go. Maybe rotate it a little bit more. Okay, so push F8, we got that lined up. Alright, so all of these controls right now, they are not doing anything on any of the fingers. They are just set up for us. So we want to make sure that we get them working a little bit more properly. And we want to make sure that the transforms are zeroed out here. So we need to basically create a zero group, an offset group, and then the control itself, and then we'll create the hierarchy. Lucky enough, I do have a script over here, zero group, and again, my courses for my students, and in the Patreon for people out there in the interwebs. If you want this tool, just click it, and what it does is it creates two groups above it. The first one is the zero group that keeps all the translations. Anything parented under it that doesn't have any offsets will have zeros, just with the controls. Same thing here. And it names all of the groups for us automatically. Here we go. Zero group. Zero group. And now I am just pushing a G on each one of the controls. That will create all of the grouping for us. I'm going to push Q so that I'm in the select tool, make it a little bit easier. Three more. And there we go. Now we have all of the grouping for making sure that all the controls are zeroed out, done properly. So now I can go in, and this control needs to be inside of this control needs to be inside of this control. So let's expand. I'm going to click Shift and expand out each one of these controls. And then basically the 3 goes inside of the 2 control, and we take the whole group and drop it into those groups. So what's that's going to end up happening is that if we rotate the 1 controller, it moves the 2 and 3 with it. If we select the 2 controller, it moves the 3 control, and then if we do the 3, it should not move anything but itself. And that's the way the finger's going to work together. Also, what we can do is if we selected all 3 of them together, oopsies, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, and then went to rotate, and we rotated it together, we get a pretty nice smooth rotation between all the joints. So I'm going to go into the thumb since it's listed here next, and do the same thing. There you go. Then the middle finger, holding down Shift, clicking on the plus. There you go. The 3 goes into the 2, the 2 goes into the 1. 1, 2, 3. Let's collapse that one. 3 goes into 2. 2 goes into the 1. 1, 2, and 3. And we repeat the process. There we go. So we should have all of the fingers done. We can test it all out to make sure that it is working properly. So we would select 1, 2, 3 and make sure that if we go into rotations that they are working the way we expect it, and you can go through and test all of your fingers that way. So let's look at creating a control up here for the hand. So that way we have something that we can select for our properties that will go back and forth between the IK and the FK, because this control down here will switch if you're in the IK or FK setup right now. That is the FK joint that we're looking at right now. So we want something over here, maybe on the palm, that we can use as a control. So I'm going to create a circle again. So I'm going to go to NURBS primitives, circle, and then actually I want to change one of the settings. So I undid that really quick. Go here, and instead of X, I'm going to do Y, which would give it to us flat. Then we can align it up here, and if we go into Wireframe, we should see that it did align it up right there. I'm just going to push F8 so that we can go into component mode, move it up outside of the mesh, push 6 so we can see everything again. Then what I'm going to do is select every other control vertex, kind of scale it down, and then we can select the opposite controls, scale them up, and that's going to be my attribute control for the hand. And let's make that blue. There we go. So I have a control here that I can access settings on. I'm going to zero out the transform so you can use the zero group. There you go. And actually let me undo that because I want to make sure that I rename the control. So this is going to be my L underscore hand underscore CTRL, but lowercase CTRL. So this is where we can hold the properties for it. We can create the zero group, although we're not really going to need them for this one, but it's good to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. So we got that going on there, and basically what we're going to do is hide all of these attributes. So we're going to select all of them, right click, and lock and hide selected, so that way we don't get that. And then we're going to put custom attributes on there later, things like IK, FK switch and curl attributes that we're going to be linking to the offset groups that we've created and things like that. So that will give us a good starting point. Okay, and then now all we got to do is make sure that these joints move along with the controls. So what we can do is select the control, select the joint, and then what we're going to do is make sure that we are in the rigging menu set, constrain, and let's just do a parent constraint, that's fine. So here we can see that we get all of the movement there. So we're going to target object to be constrained, do that for each one of the joints. So now if we select each one of these controls, we can see that we're getting that motion that we are expecting. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and I'm just pushing G on the keyboard to repeat the previous action. 1, 2, 1, oopsies, let's do that, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, there we go. So now we should have rotations on all of these fingers working, and then let's get the thumb working. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. There we go, select that, and we can get that rotation. Perfect. Okay, and then what we can do is say that all of these groups here, except for the hand, So actually we're going to have to do it. Ooh, actually, no, they're controls. We can do it all here. So we're going to take all of these groups and just throw them in the hand control. So technically the hand can move and rotate all of that. Let's just do the group so that you can see it. We can move the whole hand if we needed to, but what's going to end up happening is that this control up here is going to move that for us. And if it is the IK control, we can move the IK control instead. Alright, so that is rigging up the hand control. In the next lesson, what we're going to do is turn on or create the IK-FK switch, so that way we are parenting the hand to the correct systems here. Alright, we'll see you guys in the next video.